What's up guys, I'm Sid Vicious. I'm more like Sick Vicious. I've been pretty sick for the past couple of days and my voice may sound a little different, but you know what? That's not going to stop me from talking about some Path of Exile. Now, there's been a lot of talks in the community in PoE 1 recently, but we've been in a bit of a Path of Exile 2 drought lately, haven't we? I mean, where's all the juicy news from Grinding Gear Games? Where's the Witch trailer? It's okay, we can be a little patient. I'm here today to talk about some of my thoughts from the recent interviews so far and some community posts that I found interesting. Let's talk about our first topic, which I chose is player power. Are we going to have Headhunter and Mageblood? Are we going to become unstoppable with insane clear speed? I think we'll reach insane player power, but in the beginning it might not be that easy. We're stepping into a brand new game and there's a lot to learn. Sure, we'll have some foundation from Path of Exile that'll drive our decision making, but we will be faced with new challenges and we'll have to come up with new solutions. On top of that, we need to learn the system and get creative. And you know what? I'm pumped for it. I want to craft an original build and stand out in the new world of PoE. Based on my last video, I covered the topic about one-button builds and one-shotting bosses. In PoE 2, I believe we'll crack the code on one-button builds relatively quickly, and my main reasoning for this is looking back at ExileCon. They talked about how the monsters were slightly overtuned, and the content creators who were testing always pointed out that their gear was meh. But another thing is, we fully don't know what the endgame will look like and what's in store for us. We still want more info on crafting and in general how easy it will be to acquire, in quotes, good gear. But I have a lot of hope for the community in spending hours to figure out how to make a lazy yet effective one-button build. As for one-shotting bosses, I'm getting Monster Hunter vibes, where your first initial hunt takes 20 minutes, but with the right build and understanding of monster mechanics, you'll be able to do crazy speedruns. I think this will follow a similar trend in PoE 2, where the bosses will initially feel like drawn out difficult fights, and once we put together a legit build, we will have faster fights. But I think one-shotting might not be as easy as it sounds. Bosses might have multiple phases and tricky mechanics to keep us on our toes, unless we figure out some insane mechanic skip like we did with the Maven. Overall, player power will be there. It's just going to be a different dose. Now, switching to a hot topic, I read this post about target dummies for PoE 2. Some argue they're essential, while others say we don't need them. One of the points brought up was talking about path of building and how it's basically like a target dummy. Now, to some extent, I agree. It kinda is. To be honest, PoB is way better. But here's the thing, PoB is like the Matrix, deep and complex. PoB is not for a new player, and perhaps a target dummy is way better. So the question is, do I think a target dummy would help new players in PoE? It probably would help. Do I think they should have one in the game? I think not. Okay, first of all, PoE is not like other ARPGs. To dive deeper, PoE is a lot of mechanics and interactions that are happening under the hood. Meaning, if you ever pull up the calcs tab in Path of Building, you will see all the different things that affect your damage, your defense, etc. And DPS is not the main factor. You have to learn to tank hits, dodge mechanics, etc. And all of these things go into how your build functions. At the end of the day, PoE is a knowledge game, and unfortunately, it's a little hardcore in its mentality. Meaning, if you want to test your build changes, you will have to feel it out through mapping and bossing. And the field test is more important than the DPS test on a target dummy. At the end of the day, with so much customization, it's actually too hard to make your own build as a new player or sometimes even as an experienced player. I would actually love to ask GGG how they think people should discover and make builds. For example, in PoE 2, we won't have tools like Path of Building ready yet. We will have to discover uniques, learn the skill tree, and learn skills and support gems. At the current moment, my approach for PoE 2 would be to spend a lot of time reading and looking at the passive tree. Then having all my test cases set up in my stash and inventory, then running maps and bosses over and over again. The other thing to factor for PoE 2 is I would have to learn combos and skill rotations as well. Maybe this is the process GGG wants us to vaguely follow, instead of loading all of this into a super calculator and make a path of building 2.0. To sum it up, target dummies are not needed, and I think in PoE 2 it'll be easier to learn than PoE 1 in the beginning because all of us will be learning from scratch. It will give us a better understanding and fundamentals for the game, and I hope GGG has improved the early game for new player experience. In terms of new mechanics coming to PoE, one topic that's been going around is pausing. Some say it could be used to cheese boss fights. While I agree, I don't think it's the end of the world. Many players will take their time to learn the boss mechanics and build characters that can handle them without pause abuse. Sure, pausing might help newbies initially. For example, first time you do Shaper, pausing could be a way to cheese for a new player. But once you got it down, you kind of send it because you're comfortable and you don't have to worry about using such tactics. The upside to pausing is just so amazing. I can't wait to pause to reply to trade requests or private messages, or just AFK pause in a map to look something up very quickly. I'm sure a lot of people will find many helpful use cases for pausing, and overall, it will be a better gameplay experience because of it. It might even entice players to try hardcore. PoE has a lot of customization, but one thing it's lacking is character creation. I'm talking about designing your own character faces, hair, body, etc. Now, this is a very interesting post this user brought up. This is something that players coming from other RPGs like to talk about, and in most cases they want to build a character that looks like them to build the immersion fantasy. They want to feel like they are part of the game. They might even want to roleplay and design their character in a specific way to fit their fantasy. Although I have nothing against this, personally, I'm all about gameplay. In an ARPG, I just want to understand the story, then focus everything on the gameplay. I want it to feel better blasting maps or doing bosses, and I want my enjoyability to come through that. To me, this element of character creation seems like a bunch of effort for very little gain, and if they have free time, sure, they can add it. Although, I think GGG has got bigger fish to fry. Speaking of customization, let's talk about MTX, microtransactions. Now, in this post, it's asking for something different, which I sum it up as, can I get a nice dress for my witch? Okay, to really add on to this, OP brings a point about how all the cosmetic is some sort of thematic style of PoE, which is kind of like dark gothic fantasy style. I think what OP wants is something more elegant in terms of MTX. I actually do agree with this. I've bought many supporter packs and they're all really cool armor sets, but it would be really nice to have a mage with a sophisticated, classy, stylish look to their outfit. And Lokahol, I love saying that, even he commented on how the dresses aren't very realistic for combat, but after the surfboard MTX, screw it. And I agree with him. Let's open the gates for various outfits. MTX is a major factor to support the game, and if more of the community wants diverse and unconventional designs for the outfits, I say GGG makes it happen or test it out to see what the reactions are. And that's it for today, my fellow Exiles. I was going to add a section on Auction House, but in recent Reddit news, there has been a surge of posts, and I think I should work on a full video on this topic alone. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'm Sid Vicious. I've already said too much, but not enough, and I will see you later. Peace.